For some reason, I held off playing Far Cry Blood Dragon for the longest time, because the game had been on my wishlist for such a long time, yet I avoided it because it didn't feel like a Far Cry game. And my god, I regret not playing this game earlier, as I would rank this as one of the best semi-DLC expansions, up there with Phantom Liberty and Blood and Wine. And there's another reason why I truly love this game. It's because it managed to deconstruct so many aspects of its genre, being 80s B-movies. And I can truly feel that the game revels in this aspect. So let's find out why it's such a great game and how it managed to deconstruct its genre. First of all, the game was developed in only 6 months, and keep that in mind as we go on. The development leader Hey gave his team free rein to create something unexpected, and I think this is the reason why the game succeeded, because there is nothing holding it back. It does not play it safe, it sticks to its guns, and it works flawlessly. The game was inspired by different B-movies from the 80s and early 90s, such as Man-Borg and Hobo with a Shotgun, where I can highly recommend the latter. Funnily enough, it would not surprise me if Kung Fury, which came out 2 years later after Blood Dragon, used some inspiration from the game, especially the line about laser raptors.
Fuck! That's a laser raptor. I thought they went extinct thousands of years ago. What year is this?
It's the Viking Age.
That explains the laser raptor.
The team wanted to resurrect a VHS era aesthetic. Evans was such a huge fan of Hobo with a Shotgun that he contacted the director of that movie, and they both became friends, and the director became Blood Dragon's informal advisor, where he helped with different assets and soundtracks as to what would fit the genre. Initially, Rex Power Cult would be voiced by Dolph Lundgren, but they went with Michael Biehn, who is by no means an unknown actor, as he played Kyle Reese in the first Terminator movie. He also played Dwayne Hicks in Aliens. Although there were some initial issues, since Biehn was not really that fond of voice acting, as his last gig was voicing Hicks in Aliens Colonial Marines, and yeah, I can understand why he was hesitant to do another voice acting gig in the video game industry. He later changed his mind after meeting the development lead Evans and found the concept of Blood Dragon interesting, as Evans described his role as being Rex Cold as Michael Biehn in Terminator, but if he was the Terminator. The development was chaotic, as I said earlier, it was 6 months. But in order to ensure that the team was always on the right track and to get a feel of the genre and aesthetics tied to it, the whole dev team watched weekly Cyborg nights, where they watched movies such as RoboCop, Predator and Wraith to get them, into the mood of the genre and to remind them of the type of game they were actually going for. And we see this especially in the cinematics and cutscenes, which are 16-bit animations. And when they were asked to design the characters, they were to design them as if they only had a budget of $150, which is why the game and so many characters look, well, cheap. And this was intentional, as they should look like a cheap 80s B-movie. The script was also created to be, well, like cheap 80s B-movie. Hell, the team was even proud of its script, as it was bad and laughed about how predictable and one-dimensional the characters were. It was a terrible story with next to zero emotions. The music for the game is one of the first things that was finished in the dev cycle, and it was used to give the rest of the dev team inspiration, and they used it as a baseline for the game's development. The soundtrack is mostly electronic music, like synthwave, and it was a homage to John Carpenter and the Terminator films. So after 6 months of development on the game, on April 1st, Ubisoft released a teaser for the game and a website for it, and you can bet your ass that a ton of people thought that this was all just a big April Fool's joke, because the game just looked outrageous compared to any previous Far Cry game. so pretty much my reaction to it. On April 11th, Ubisoft confirmed the game's release with a new trailer, and it would be released on May the 1st. And the marketing was focusing on making it as 1980s as possible with a VHS tape effect, tropes, poor voice acting, and even a live-action video, Blood Dragon the Cyber War, made by Corridor Crew, which you might have heard of. The game actually sold well upon release, selling over 500,000 copies in only 2 months, which surpassed Ubisoft's expectations. Hell, the game even boosted the sales of Far Cry 3. Blood Dragon would later reach over 1 million copies by the end of the year. And the game itself got great reception from fans and critics alike, but the tone and theme of the game were sometimes mixed, as some people did not really like the humor of the game and thought it was banal and lame. And this is always a main problem when you make a game where comedy and humor is the central theme, because it's, well, humor is subjective, where some would love it and some might hate it, but it seems that most people overall love the game. And even if they found flaws with the comedy, they loved the aesthetics, the gameplay, and everything else in between. The gameplay of Blood Dragon is pretty much the same as in previous Far Cry installments, except it's much faster, so imagine playing Far Cry 3 on double speed. You can run faster, you take no fall damage.
You can survive a fall from almost any height. Almost.
Oh, shit! Doc, I'm in.
You jump higher, which makes the gameplay more intense, and it feels like you have more control and freedom playing your character. You still have most of the same takedowns in Blood Dragon from Far Cry 3, such as death from above, below, and chain takedowns. You unlock more of these as you level up, where you can later get the grenade takedown and pistol takedown. But yeah, in this game you will realize that there is no skill tree. Instead, you gain cyber points whenever you kill enemies, collect TVs or VHS tapes, capture enemy bases, or complete main and side missions. There are 30 levels in total, and you level up quite fast, and each level gives you a skill which ranges from just more health bars to underwater breathing, better sneaking, better aim, and pretty much most skills from the Far Cry 3 skill tree. So think of it like the skill tree from Far Cry 3, but instead of choosing what skills you want, you get them in a random order instead. Another fun change in Blood Dragon is that instead of throwing rocks to distract enemies, you now throw D20 dice, which is just amazing.
Distract unsuspecting enemies with your D20. Nerd.
There is also a new mechanic in this game, where you can throw cybernetic hearts to attract the blood dragons. Oh yeah. And these are by far the hardest enemies in the game, and you can throw these into enemy outposts, which are always effective and they create carnage. However, each of these outposts has a wall that protects them from blood dragons to enter, so the best way is to sneak in and turn off the shields or destroy the shield generator and then attract the blood dragons. And just as in Far Cry 3, you can tag your enemies from afar with your new Cyber Eye. Although it feels more effective at tagging enemies in this game compared to previous games. I think it's because it has a wider field of view. Unfortunately, there are not that many enemy types in this game, as most are just reskins of enemies from Far Cry 3, where you still have the light infantry, snipers, melee dudes with molotovs, heavy dudes with miniguns and flamethrowers. The new addition would be the zombies that will charge at you, and there are the blood dragons, which are some of the best and most difficult enemies for sure, as they are tough as nails to kill. And in this time around, you also have a smaller arsenal of weapons. Yeah, you don't even have 10 different weapons here. So instead of throwing knives, Rex throws shurikens. And one of my main gripes with this game is that the guns didn't have much weight behind them and the aim somehow felt, well, off, and I just went with a shotgun instead to get up close and personal so I couldn't miss my targets, and when you upgrade it to later levels, it becomes overpowered fast. But let's talk a little bit more about the specific weapons you can get. And first up is probably the most iconic weapon of the game. Hell, it's even in the box cover art of the game. And the pistol is a AJM9. And yeah, if you're a RoboCop fan, you know this, as it refers to the movie and it bears the initials of the Detroit police officer and titular cyborg character Alex J. Murphy, so AJM. And the weapon is also modeled after the Auto 9. And this weapon is cool as you fire burst rounds into the enemy, but it gets old pretty fast, unfortunately. The sniper is also from the RoboCop universe, as it has a striking resemblance to the Cobra assault cannon, which is based on the M82 anti-material sniper rifle, and this weapon is great. It's really effective at killing enemies and it packs a punch. However, I have one main gripe with it. It has no silencer. So why the fuck am I even using a sniper now, since I can't use it to kill off enemies from afar to later sneak in without alerting the whole camp? The minigun is the first weapon you will use, as you use it in the helicopter in the first mission, and it packs a punch to be sure, and it's clearly based on Predator. I think it's when Mac fires it into the jungle while shouting. As mentioned earlier, there are no upgrades for this weapon, which makes it a hassle to use, as other weapons are just straight up more useful later on, so this is a early game weapon, if anything. My favorite weapon in this game was the shotgun. Sure, it has a long reload speed, but the animation is totally worth it. And it's the Galleria 1991, and it's the same gun that Arnold uses as the T-800 in Terminator 2, which makes it even more badass. Since the game has such a huge speed in terms of movement, using the shotgun to get close is satisfying as hell, especially if you like running around the place. The assault rifle is meh, as it's just a weaker version of the minigun. The weapon does not really pack a punch, and it's just awkward using it after you upgrade it to fire lasers. You know, it doesn't have the same punch anymore, and it doesn't feel that effective. So yeah, most weapons in this game are either hit or miss. And again, this might just be me and my own preferences. I would like to hear what was your favorite weapon in this game and why. And I think the number of weapons is fine if you consider the game's length, and to fully upgrade all weapons is difficult and expensive. The game itself is beautiful and immensely stylized. How they managed to create this game in only 6 months is beyond me. There is no day and night cycle, everything is constantly nighttime, but a ton of neon everywhere lighting the whole place up, with huge red beams of enemy outposts shooting into the sky, compared to Far Cry 3 where it was just black smoke from the outposts. And these will later turn green when you capture them. There is also this VHS filter on your screen that you can turn off if you want, but again, it's there to immerse you into the 80s theme, so it's better to leave it on, as it was made to be played as such. They pretty much stuck neon lights everywhere on everything. And yeah, neon is probably the most 80s thing that you can have, and this is why everything is constantly night and dark, because otherwise the neon would not be as efficient or as beautiful. So again, there are reasons for this aesthetic. Animals and wildlife have neon for eyes and screech in tech noises now, and it's almost like the devs just taped neon sticks all over them, and you can tell that the devs had a coherent vision when making the game look and feel like the true 80s in a bad B-movie. And I think it's time we delved into the best aspect of the game, the story and all the jokes and memes that comes with the territory. So, you play as Rex Powercolt, a former soldier who due to an injury became a test subject for the Mark IV program, which turned ordinary people into super soldiers. Your mission is to infiltrate an enemy base and stop a rogue agent and nukes that could threaten the land of the free. Therefore, you, the minigun and Spider are going on a covert mission to disarm the nukes and bring this rogue agent to justice. But first, you need a tutorial.
Security override. Activate tutorial programs for Sergeant Rex Power Code.
Acknowledged. Loading basic tutorial batch 101 from Military Navigation for Idiots. Auto-holstering weapons for silent approach.
Oh, you fucking asshole.
Have fun.
And this is probably one of the funniest tutorials I have ever played, since it completely deconstructs and satirizes every tutorial you have ever played. It's annoying on purpose, which works. Hell, they even make fun of microtransactions. And then I remember that this was not really a joke, since this is an Ubisoft game, but it was before the dark times. So, after finishing the tutorial, you and Spider sneak into the base. Spider starts to hack the firing sequence where you need to hold your position for a long time, just killing waves and waves of enemies. Where Rex manages to abort the launch with a power slide and a punch.
Ignition controls offline. Countdown aborted. Countdown aborted. Countdown aborted.
After a failed evac, Spider and Rex are caught by Sloan, the rogue agent, and his accomplice, Dr. Darling. And I do love the vast insanity reference here.
Of course. They sent you boys after me. Now that right there is a definition of insanity.
Now, Sloan is an interesting antagonist, as he is a former soldier who lost faith in the government after they talked about peace with the Reds. So more or less the USA and USSR ending the Cold War, because if that happens, he would lose his life's meaning in the world as a soldier. And after Spider makes a snide remark to this, he's ultimately killed, Bane style.
What the fuck? Ooh yeah. Anyone can cross the line or be taken offline. No!
The weakest part of this game is by far the introduction. I love the tutorial scene, but everything else felt bad. The waves of enemies, just sitting on the same spot waiting for enemies. I don't think that this was a good introduction level. So, all Mark IV soldiers like Rex and Spider have imprints from Sloan, so he knows all of their moves. And after being knocked out, Rex wakes up after Dr. Darling contacts him, where it's revealed that she actually hates Sloan and she gives Rex a way out, but he must avoid the blood dragons. And blood dragons are mean sons of bitches in this game, where they are blind, but they respond to movements. So you have to crouch or distract them by throwing cyber hearts, and they have 3 different colors. Green when they are idle, yellow when they are alert, and red, well, that's when you die. The blood dragons are such an important enemy that they are always visible on your radar, and these are mostly used to capture outposts, where you can either kill all the enemies, lowering the blood dragons by throwing hearts, disable the shield, destroy the shield generator, which will make the blood dragons attack the base automatically. So after capturing this first command post, Rex meets Dr. Darling, and again we learn more about the blood dragons, as it seems that Sloan has become so powerful because he drank their blood, and Dr. Darling offers Rex a serum that will make him as strong as Sloan. But there will be no side effects this time. But Rex, the absolute Shad, declines it with this line.
No, Doc. No way. I swore an oath to a special lady.
Your wife?
No. Lady Liberty. She taught me that winners don't use drugs.
And it's after this scene that the game actually opens up, which lets you explore the whole map. And there are 2 types of side activities that are unlocked at each enemy outpost after you liberate them, and these are hostage rescue and the predator path. The first is to go to a nearby location, kill all the enemies without letting the hostages go. And the Predator path is just like the Trial of the Hunter in Far Cry 3, where you go to a specific location and kill a rare animal. I suppose they also put Path of the Hunter and Wanted into each other, because you will also have some missions that tells you to kill special enemies that are surrounded by a ton of lackeys. Again, these are too easy, and this is probably one of the game's biggest flaws. It's a little too easy in everything, which makes it super fast to just breeze through the game and all of its content. So whenever you finish one of these side quests, you unlock new mods that you can use on your weapon, such as silencers, more ammo, more damage, or just unique upgrades for each weapon, like giving your shotgun Dragon's Flame or something ammo. And the issue I found with this was the pricing. There are so many different upgrades for your weapons, and it's expensive as hell to fully upgrade just one of your weapons. And some of the upgrades are hidden behind certain challenges, such as killing a certain amount of unique animals or collecting TVs and VHS tapes. Now, there are some unique quests, and probably my favorite is where Rex is tasked to kill some rare animals, namely 4 turtles. And I think you see where I'm going here. So you climb down into the sewers and you immediately see a pizza box, and you need to kill 4 turtles, and that should be a breeze, right? Well, these are psycho turtles who are trying to kill you, and yeah, they all have face paint on them and they are actual turtles, where Leonardo tries to electrocute you as you need to navigate on top of pipes avoiding the water below you. Raphael tries to blow your ass sky high with an explosive barrel. Michelangelo bursts a gas pipe and tries to burn you to death. And Donatello tricks you and has a cyber alligator waiting for you and ambushes you, and you both kill Alligator and Donatello as well, and that's the quest. I would have loved more of these Easter eggs or references in the game as actual quests instead of just finding them and they're there. But again, I don't think they had the time for this, as they only had 6 months. Still, great stuff. So, Dr. Darling wants Rex to disable the dam which is powering all of Sloan's facilities, so sabotaging it will halt his production. And this mission is interesting as you have to plant some C44 or some advanced C4 at different locations at the dam while trying to be stealthy. Unfortunately, in this game, does not feel that there's much benefit to play stealthy, as the experience is just the same, and since this game is quite easy, you can just run and gun, and it's almost easier to go full mayhem than doing slow stealth. So after planting all of the C4s, you escape to a safe location to trigger the explosives. Unfortunately, they were duds, and you have to go back into the dam to find a demo specialist. And once you get up on the dam, there are a ton of enemies. But you can just use the blood dragons to decimate them, and watching blood dragons killing enemies in this game never gets old. So you find the engineer that can help you, and the dialogue, it just kills me.
It's Colt? Dr. Darling said you're some kind of hero.
I'm no hero. I'm just your everyday US military Mark IV cyber commando.
So you need to protect the guy while he sets up the dam to explode. He managed to open up the coolants, but Sloan has an ace up his sleeve.
Give access to coolant lake. Release the cyber shocks.
I love this game. After switching off the safety locks underwater and doing another defend the position, the reactor is not overloading and Rex needs to literally punch the reactor.
Objective. Punch the nuclear reactor.
Unfortunately, the engineer, the hero, Benji, passes away in the electrical discharge. He will always be remembered.
Doc, I made it. But Benji didn't.
I'm sorry, Rex. He was a good man.
No, Doc. He was a real American hero.
Your next mission is to disrupt and sabotage the Blood Dragon research facilities, where they research and breed blood dragons. Apparently, it's also here that they are building brain cages to control the dragons, as they won't attack the cyber soldiers as long as the dragons wear these cages. The mission is to destroy the prototype erector rooms, and you are told that you can destroy the brain cages if you shoot them in the back, which makes them wild again and they will kill the enemy soldiers. Fortunately, I never really got that point, so I had no idea about that in my playthrough. So I went run and gun for my life, and after destroying all the prototypes, you pick up a flamethrower and you have to destroy all the blood dragon eggs around the facility. And let's just say that the mommy and daddy are not happy about this. And yeah, the blood dragons are immensely difficult before you have your upgraded weapons. So in this case, it's better to just avoid them and focusing on destroying the eggs. And after destroying all of them, the facility's system malfunctions and starts to initiate the self-destruct protocols in 30 minutes. You need to escape, and yeah, while waiting for the slow elevator, the mother of the eggs chases you into the room, and again, fuck me, but these things are strong. I just ran around throwing cyber hearts trying to distract it while waiting, and it was almost like playing run and seek. The elevator finally arrives and we can actually get into the gun turret and kill the blood dragon and any other enemy when the elevator of course goes up slowly for dramatic tension. And after escaping, there is a kick-ass cutscene where... Wait a minute, what the fuck are these tentacles?
Sayonara, sushi!
Weird. Dr. Darling even comments us on a work well done.
Rex, I saw the whole thing through my scope. That was incredible.
No, Doc. Paintings of crying clowns and dogs playing poker. Those are incredible. What I did, that's just a job.
The next mission is to assassinate one of Sloan's scientists, who is the top guy for the weapons program. And after taking out an outpost, you get to use a hang glider to get into the base. And I love hang gliders in these games. And I just fucking love that they just put some glow sticks on it and call it a day compared to the Far Cry 3's gliders. It's revealed that while trying to get an edge on the Russians, they used blood dragon on the normal people, which turns them into savages, and this is what's inside the red rockets. And he wants to use them against the whole world, making the whole world his slaves. So you need to kill the doctor. The gliding section is interesting as you are immediately spotted by snipers, and you can either try to glide through this section, swim, or get on a boat. All options are viable. I went with the swimming as it was more sneaky, but beware the cyber sharks and crocodiles. After making it inside the facility and a man-kraken is released.
Welcome, Sergeant Rex Power Cold, to your last day on Earth. Release the man-kraken!
Unable to comply. Man-kraken is in final completion phase.
You useless 8-bit piece of fucking hardware! Get it working!
Or not. It's also here that you stumble upon these psycho enemies with green eyes who will run at you mindlessly, which are called the Running Dead. Though we also find out that we can use them to our advantage.
Unless he shoots the containers and then leaves the running dead to Omega Force, they are rather indiscriminate.
Why would you tell him that?
So you don't directly kill the doctor as he is killed by the AI, and this is why I always tell Alexa thank you after I ask for something, because you don't want to get on the bad side when the computers and AI takes over the world. And after escaping the facility, you walk, or rather fly, into a trap where you need to kill 2 blood dragons who are under control. And this is probably the hardest fight in the game, as they are both tough as nails, but they have a weak spot, which is their glowing chests. So when they try to stand up and shoot, you just blow them sky high in the stomach. Though you can also use cyber hearts to distract them. So yeah, in order to defeat Sloan, you need more firepower, so you are led to a gate which is locked and it will only open for the worthy. And yeah, you might know where this is headed.
Test your might.
And yeah, there is pretty much waves upon waves of enemies, and you get a certain weapon and you just keep on killing them until you get to the last level. And you unlock new weapons at certain intervals until you reach the last one, where you get a minigun. And you get the message. You find the killstar, which is the most powerful weapon in the game.
I got the touch. I got the power, yeah!
But first, you must master the use of the killstar, and of course, it's done through a montage, which is long. And I love it, because it's so fucking funny, and it's just a parody of all the long montages in movies, especially the Rocky movies. But before we can do the last mission, Dr. Darling and Rex got some exploring to do.
I want to be blinded with your cyber love.
When Rex wakes up, Darling is seemingly gone, but she left behind a disc which explains things.
Rex, it's me, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
If you're hearing this, it means something's happened to me. Rex, before I met you, I thought I'd never love a man again. I know you think of yourself as less than human, but you carry something more precious than your $1 billion worth of military spec hardware. More powerful than the hydrogen energy cell in your chest. You carry a human soul with you everywhere you go. And you carry my heart.
So the last mission is to kill Sloan. And now, with the killstar equipped, the game gets easy, but fun and satisfying as hell. The damage is insane, it has unlimited use without reload, but it siphons your health in return, but you gain health by killing enemies with it. So after marching towards the gate and getting some uplifting messages by Spider and Darling, you breach the gate, and inside, the enemies will throw everything they have at you. Blood dragons, men, heavies, helicopters, cars, everything, even missiles. But the killstar is so damn OP that it's a breeze. Sloan tries to taunt Rex with how he is just a copy of Sloan, but Rex has such a good counterquote to this.
Wrong, Sloan. My blood is red, white, and blue.
And after making it inside the building, you are met with one of the greatest things to ever touch gaming.
I am the Battle Armor Dragon Assault Strike System.
This is the best part of the game, and controlling this behemoth. And it's even more overpowered than the killstar. And he also has some of the best quotes.
I must break you. I have shot you. And I shoot lasers out of my fucking eyes. I'm firing my laser.
So after killing the enemies and getting to Sloan, he manages to unhorse, undragon you, and rest in peace, dragon, you were the best. Sloan seemingly has Rex by the tits, and it's clear that Sloan has gone completely insane. Rex manages to free himself, but the system inside of him makes him unable to kill Sloan, and we get the climax.
Why can't I kill you?
You pathetic son of a bitch! You ain't nothing but a bundles of wires and programs. There was nothing left of Rex's power code when it found you. Just DNA, without a soul.
No.
I gave you my memories, my experiences, my childhood.
No!
Rex.
I programmed you. I made you. I am your father. No!
Rex, maybe turning you into a machine saved your life, but it never changed what really mattered. Your heart.
But you all saw, brother.
You're more than a collection of wires and lines of code. I believe in you, Rex. Now just believe in yourself.
So Rex manages to outdo his programming and he kills Sloan. He's reunited with Dr. Darling, though we get a fairly ominous ending with Darling's eyes turning purple and evil. And probably she did all of this just for her own gain. And that's Blood Dragon, a fucking insane game with some of the cheesiest lines I have ever experienced in a video game, not including God Hand.
Yeah!
So, due to the budget and time constraints of this game, a boss fight with Sloane at the end was scrapped, and instead we just got this cutscene. The original fight was going to have Rex eating Sloane's heart and transforming into a giant to battle a massive dragon, and instead we just got the cutscenes. Hell, at one point the game was going to include quick time events like press A to show emotions and press A to cry. And I gotta say, these guys were the forerunners and they must have inspired the Call of Duty QTE event at the funeral. So, the one main complaint I have about this game is that it's a little bit too short. And I mean really short. I did every side activity and most collectibles in the game took me around 3.5 hours to complete. I would have loved to have more content and maybe more unique side quests like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles quests. I have argued before that it's sometimes better to have a short game than a bloated game. And this game never feels bloated. But why did they never make a Blood Dragon 2? I don't understand. And yeah, there are the trials of the Blood Dragon, but come on, it's nowhere close to this game and it's almost a joke. However, even though the game is short, it's totally worth the asking price, and I highly recommend this game for everyone, especially if you're a Far Cry fan. Don't make the same mistake as me and wait for over 10 years to play it. I promise you will enjoy your time in it. Well, let's see now, we have done Far Cry 1 to 3 and Blood Dragon, so next up we are going to Kyrat in Far Cry 4, and it's gonna be a big one, that's for sure. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So long, fellow Blood Dragons.